Well, hello and welcome to episode 5 of the Liberty for Philly podcast. My name is Mitchell. Jared is unfortunately out of town for this week, but I'll make sure I keep you guys updated on the sports. Now let's get into the sports. First off today, we're going to start with the Philadelphia Phillies. Opening day was this Thursday. They came back and revamped bullpen. Wow. I was very impressed. 3.1 innings pitched and no runs on I just can't, just no runs in general. That's got to be the one thing I'm very surprised about from that game. Obviously, Aaron Nola was stellar except for one pitch in which Pablo Sandoval hit a second deck home run. For today's game, Zach Wheeler is on the mound, and we got same lineup, I believe, as Thursday. However, I believe Adam Hazley is not playing today. Yes, Adam Hazley is not playing today due to a hamstring injury. He is available to pinch hit. However, he is planning to start tomorrow. Roman Quinn gets to start in center field. It will be McCutchen, Hoskins, Harper, Realmuto, Bohm, Gregorius, Segura, Quinn, and Wheeler today. We should see some strong innings out of Wheeler. However, I do believe that he'll give up probably one or two runs, but hopefully today we can get some runs in scoring position. Yeah, so that's gonna be the one thing I did not like about Thursday's game. The Phillies went 3 for 21, I believe, with runners in scoring position, and in this division, I do think if your pitching's good, you can get away with it. However, in some of these games, like it kind of came back to haunt us when Pablo Sandoval tied up the game. I think that we got to be better with runners in scoring position for future. Then in other news, the New York Mets in the Washington Nationals series was unfortunately postponed, making sure that the New York Mets open up their season, of course, against the Philadelphia Phillies. So Francisco Lindor will make his first start in a Mets uniform in Citizens Bank Park on Monday, I believe. So in that case, I will probably have the Phillies winning at least 2 of those 3 games, just mostly due to the fact that the Mets will probably still be a little slow coming into this, with the extreme delay between the end of spring training and opening day for the New York Mets. So I think the Phillies can capitalize off of that. However, they will face so we got Zach Eflin starting the season, series finale against the Braves on Sunday. Then we got Chase Anderson and Matt Moore Monday, Tuesday against the Mets, and that is going to be interesting to say the least. However, I do believe Matt Moore can probably pitch a solid outing. However, Chase Anderson, I would probably be in between. We might see David Hale or Vince Velasquez come in for Chase Anderson just to piggyback off of him. However, I think within the next 2 weeks, I think we'll see Jojo Romero come back up. I don't believe David Hale is going to be a long-term solution in this bullpen. And I think once he has a couple outings, Jojo Romero could be coming back up, or Spencer Howard. Also, further, the supposed winners of the NLS lost their season opening against the Rockies last 2 nights ago. The Dodgers seemed to get off the wrong foot, and they almost allowed a comeback from the Rockies yesterday as the Rockies hit 3 consecutive home runs off of Trevor Bauer and David Price. So maybe some trouble out in the NL West. The Padres still look amazing. The Pirates, they are showing something, but this could be short-lived like the Marlins last season, because I don't believe the Marlins would have kept that up for a full 162 in a normal year. Sixto Sanchez for the Marlins. JT Realmuto trade might be leaning more in the Phillies' favor, as Sixto Sanchez is scheduled for an MRI this weekend. Could be facing a long-term injury. Moving on, more of the fact today, at the time of recording, you guys know last time we made our March Madness predictions and we were very wrong. This week we got the Final Four. Today's Final Four matchup consists of Houston Baylor and Gonzaga UCLA. UCLA is, of course, is the 11th seed Cinderella story who has played since the first four all the way back. I think that was 3 weeks ago. But we got a lot of March Madness. Before I get into it, Jared said that he has Gonzaga going the perfect season in winning the NCAA championship. However, I do believe that Gonzaga's season will end I do believe it'll beat UCLA. However, I do believe they will lose in the championship. My predictions, of course, is probably Gonzaga beating UCLA. I don't see UCLA keeping up, even though I did say that against Michigan. However, I do believe Gonzaga will unfortunately put an end to UCLA's run. And then for Houston Baylor, Houston is a really good team. However, I don't see Baylor from how they played against Villanova. I think Baylor should win. Then, therefore, I have Baylor Gonzaga in the final. However, I have Baylor winning. Gonzaga, I do believe they played Baylor. I'm not 100% sure, but when Gonzaga has played worthy opponents, they have struggled a little bit, but they still have obviously came out to win. However, I do believe that comes to an end, especially if they have to have a hard fought battle against UCLA today. However, I can't see them if they struggle against UCLA and they struggle early against Baylor. I don't see them coming out and winning. So I guess if Jared was here, I would probably be getting laughed at for my predictions. However, I do believe Baylor will end up winning the 2021 NCAA March Madness tournament. Next, let's move into the Eagles. A little new segment here today. We are going to be going on pff.com and doing a mock draft simulator from my just a simulation since just to get back in the mood of NFL, even though we do not like having Roseman here. Well, Jared might, I don't know, but I don't like him. So I'm going to take the role of the GM of the Eagles and hopefully steer this team away. And if you have any comments on any picks that I should have made and I did not make sure to let me know. So let me start this up. Here we go. I don't know if I can put this on screen. So I am just going to do this, and then I'm going to do that, and we're just going to do this. All right. So here we are back on the pff.com. Obviously, I've selected my team as Eagles. In this scenario, I will not choose any trades to make. Instead, whereas I let the simulation happen as is. So immediately right away, we got Patrick Surtain and Sewell before dropping to us. Here, obviously, my favorite pick, if he does drop to us, will obviously be always Micah Parsons. So I'm obviously going to be drafting him. He's an outstanding player, especially since I'm a Penn State fan. I might be biased in that case. However, I do believe he would be better than any cornerbacks that would be available at that time. Obviously, here at this pick, we will need to make a cornerback, draft a cornerback. We really need that. However, we do have Javon Holland, Aaron Robinson, both solid players while in college. However, we would need to draft them because I don't think they would fall to us back at 70. However, I do like Aaron Robinson more. He is an outstanding player at UCF, and I believe he would continue to do that work ethic at the Philadelphia Eagles. Here at pick 70, I will say we would probably draft our first wide receiver of the draft. We got Josh Palmer, outstanding wide receiver from Tennessee. We got Cade Johnson from South Dakota State, who would be my hidden pick. However, Josh Palmer was outstanding during his time, and obviously Robinson was probably playing against FCS competition. Don't get me wrong, the FCS is still a great conference. However, I do believe I'll take the SEC wide receiver. Now here at 84, there's Jamar Johnson. I think I'm going to pick him up because he is a very underrated safety in my opinion, and I don't understand how he fell this low in the simulation. If he is there, I would think that would be a great pick for the Eagles. Here we are at 123. I do believe that we will need a rookie running back just to fill that backfield. In this case, however, actually I'm going to wait a little bit because I think Jared Patterson, he was an outstanding running back at Buffalo. I'm going to wait on the running back position. Instead, I'm going to look at defensive end or defensive line. We really do need some that. Milton Williams is a great possible pick. Awesome from Louisiana Tech. His stock just keeps rising and rising. So I think I'm going to pick him up. At this next pick at 150, I'm either going to draft a running back or an offensive lineman because we will need somehow a replacement for this aging offensive line, and especially since some of our picks might not work out. Here we are. We're going to draft our running back. Jarrett Patterson's still there. We do have pick 189. He is ranked at 186, so I might hold off on him. I might actually go for the Minnesota Benjamin St. Just. I saw him a lot in the Big Ten, and I do believe that he is a decent cornerback position. I think he can be a hidden sneaker pit, like a sneaker option for the future, but I don't think he would be worth drafting that high. Now, unfortunately, as we get down to our next pick, Jaret Patterson, unfortunately, is out of the consideration for the job. But however, we got Ravonde Stevens. His stock keeps draft. He was very highly valued. However, I am going to draft Puka Williams, even though it could turn out to be a poor pick. Puka Williams has that really hidden talent I saw under Les Miles. Unfortunately, with all he's done, he's now no longer the coach of Kansas, but he did a really good job under Les Miles' offense. He was that lone spark for the Jayhawks. Here, I'm going to draft a quarterback. I think this would be a good time, and I think I'm going to go Felipe Franks. Felipe Franks was played under the new offensive coordinator, I believe, for the Eagles, or he's an offensive assistant. He was the former offensive coordinator for Florida, and I think that would be a great project quarterback to be a third string behind Joe Flacco and Jalen Hurts. Here, I don't see my usually when I do the simulation, there's a good center from Penn State who I really enjoyed watching while he was at Penn State. However, I don't see him here now, but I'm gonna still try to draft an interior offensive lineman or a tackle. Let's see which one's the better option here. Robert Jones or Tristan. I'm not mess this up. Hog. I'm supposed to say Hog. I do believe that none of those would probably be a good option, to be honest. But I do believe that Jonathan Marshall will probably be a great pickup for this team. Now we're back at 234. I do believe this is where I pick up another wide receiver, Rico Bussey. I am so happy he's here. He is one of my hidden draft picks for this draft. He is an outstanding wide receiver from Hawaii. He should deserve more attention. However, obviously, since he's probably from Hawaii, he's not going to have that much attention. However, I do believe that he is going to be a great pick. Now I'm actually going to draft, and since this is our last pick of the draft, I'm going to draft the best offensive lineman available. I guess I'm going to take Tristan from BYU. Will possibly need a replacement for Kelsey in the future, but for right now, I'm just going to take whatever's available here. As we see here, Micah Parsons is obviously going to be that A pick. He should not draft to us. If he does, that will be outstanding. But granted, Howie Roseman might draft somebody who we don't expect, like what happened last year. We got an A for that. We got a C for Aaron Robinson, a B plus for Josh Palmer, a B plus for Jamar Johnson, a B plus for Milton Williams, Benjamin St. Just. That's a good C plus. So our two cornerbacks, we might got the better of two later in the draft. Obviously, a great B plus pick in Puka Williams, and obviously an A plus for Felipe Franks because I do believe he has hidden talent to be a great backup or possibly even a future backup to say Russell Wilson in the future for the Eagles if we decide to trade away our picks. Jonathan Marshall is obviously going to be C plus, and then Rico Bussey is obviously B plus. I'm telling you, he's going to be a hidden star in this draft, and then obviously Tristan's going to be a C plus. Overall, we got a B plus. However, I do believe this draft would be in best case scenario for the Eagles in this year's draft. Well, that ends our NFL section. Right before we transition, there will be a 17 game season in the NFL next year. I don't know how to feel about that, but the Eagles will now play the Jets in their extra game. However, I do believe that game should be used for something extraordinary, for say. Like I know the Falcon. I forget whose team is playing. I think it's the Falcons are playing one home game in London next year, but I do believe that that extra game could be used for the Battle of Pennsylvania, Steelers Eagles in State College, which is Penn State if you don't know. But I believe that would be a great opportunity for these two teams to play in a neutral site and also gain a lot of revenue for State College, which has lost a lot of revenue due to COVID, it being a college town, and losing all that football traffic that happens in the fall. Moving on, we got today Sixers play the Minnesota Timberwolves, and then they go on to play the Memphis Grizzlies. However, best news of all, Joel Embiid is back. He's questionable for tonight, but he's almost guaranteed to come back tomorrow against the Grizzlies. It'll be awesome if he comes back tonight. First home game for the Sixers in a week. This will be perfect time for him to come back, hype up that crowd, and show that he's still the MVP of the NBA. When he comes back, I hope we don't rush him. Obviously, he's probably going to be on a minutes restriction for these next couple of games, but I have to shout out our team. We have absolutely carried this team without Joel Embiid. We were not expecting this. Obviously, last year under Brett Brown, I think whenever Joel Embiid was out, we only won like 5 games. And that was shown earlier this year. It just shows how much our bench stepped up and said, oh, we actually have a chance to do this thing. And they stepped up. George Hill, the NBA trade line addition, for the Sixers, who I didn't personally was a fan of, but it is what it is now. You can't go back, but I still believe that we might need a backup somebody. If Boogie Cousins' 10-day contract doesn't work out with the late Clippers, I think it is, we should look in, take a flyer on that. However, I do believe this team will be set once everybody is back healthy, and I think Doc Rivers should play it careful, especially with Joel coming back. Try not to rush him back as much just to prevent an injury. However, we are a half game back of Brooklyn right now. And if we win today, we will be tied with Brooklyn, and it will be obviously a back and forth matchup, especially with Kevin Durant coming back possibly Monday for the Nets. We will need to come back and be back stronger than ever. I believe this next stretch, I think we're going to beat the Timberwolves. Obviously, they're the Timberwolves. Well, we might not. Well, we beat the Cavs finally for the first time this year. I think we can beat the Grizzlies. That's going to be a revenge game from the last time we played them. I believe we lost, and that was a poor game on my part. I think one of our players was out, unfortunately. Then against the Celtics, I do believe we'll win that. First time against the Celtics. As Jared always say, we're probably going to lose the Celtics in the playoffs anyways. And then let's just continue on till the major game that's coming up here. I do believe that will probably beat the Pelicans. They did saw some key additions, and they are having some injuries at the moment. I think we should beat the Thunder. And unfortunately, I'm going to have us winning against the Mavericks. But unfortunately, at that point, I don't want to be carrying a 6-game winning streak in against the Brooklyn Nets. Obviously, that is going to be hopefully the first time it's the 5 versus the 5. We got Kevin Durant, we got Kyrie Irving, we got Blake Griffin, we have LaMarcus Aldridge, and we have who am I missing? James Harden. And against Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, Seth Curry, and Danny Green. We need to get that true championship possibly matchup preview at some point this season. Obviously, at that point, maybe one of them will get hurt. Kevin Durant will probably be out for rest. This is my Philly sports fan saying they're not gonna play them, but obviously they're not. We're not gonna get that full championship experience, obviously, until the playoffs. Then we go on another. We can play the Clippers, the Warriors, the Suns, and then we played the 2 Bucks at home. After that after that next Phoenix Suns game, we do go on a pretty tough schedule, and it'll be interesting to see how the team handles it. But also, before we transition probably into hockey, I'm going to talk about my predictions for the NBA playoff play-in round. Obviously, right now we got the Celtics, the Knicks, the Pacers, and the Bulls all vying for that last spot. However, I do believe the Celtics will probably beat the Knicks. The Knicks are an improved team. However, I don't think they'll beat the Celtics. The Celtics have too much depth. And especially once Evan Fournier finally gets his feet under him, I think he'll finally be a great addition to the club. Then we'll have the Pacers versus the Bulls. I think the Bulls made some perfect moves, selling away a little bit for the future for a little bit of help for LaVine now. I do believe the Bulls will beat the Pacers in that playing game, therefore setting up the Knicks and the Bulls for that final spot. And I'm just going to go with the Bulls. I cannot see the Knicks somehow making the playoffs. They are still a great team. However, I think once the Bulls' new additions get started, get their feet under them, and start clicking, I do believe that they will make the playoffs. So in my predictions, I will have the Celtics and the Bulls making it. And then the Western Conference obviously is a more deeper conference than the Eastern so far this year. And I'll probably have the Mavs Spurs. I'll probably have the Mavs winning that. Luka Doncic is still amazing. Even though I love the Sixers, I still think Luka Doncic is a great player. Then we'll probably have the Grizzlies Warriors. The Warriors just lost by a lot. I think it was like 130 something to 77. I can't see the Warriors winning, especially Steph Curry's just coming back from injury near the end of the year. I will probably have the Grizzlies winning that. Then the Grizzlies Spurs. That's gonna be a tough one for me. However, I think the Grizzlies are up on an uptrend, and John Morant's still John Morant. So I'll probably have the Grizzlies sneaking into the playoffs and the Spurs missing it. However, so that is all I have for my basketball rant today. But let's transition into hockey. We got the Philadelphia Flyers, who seem not to know where they're going at the moment. They are in need of a lot of changes. They are fifth in the East right now. They are still 3 points behind the Boston Bruins. However, the Bruins do have 2 games at hand, and we do have 2 games at hand on the top 3 in the division. However, we are good 13 points behind them. So I do think that the Flyers will make some key adjustments at the deadline. I do think that might include a couple of key pieces being traded away for some more help. I do think that we do pick up another goaltender at the deadline just to give Carter Hart some 3-man rotation. I can see that, but I don't know how that will work. We will need another defenseman. We will need some more physicality on this team. They just seem not to put in any effort, and there is a disconnect between possibly Alain Vigneault in this team, because Alain Vigneault is a great coach, as is seen by his record. However, there has to be a disconnect because Alain Vigneault would not let this play continue on any of his other teams. So there's either the players aren't listening, or Alain Vigneault saying, we need to get out of this. Just keep doing it. We got to push through. But I don't think Alain Vigneault is that type of coach. However, I do think at some point some heads are going to roll and some pieces are going to be shipped out. Maybe Scott Lawton, maybe some Nolan Patrick, maybe there's some things that might happen at this deadline that might really confuse some of us Flyers fans, but it might also be kind of like, huh, maybe that'll help in the future. Because I think this offseason, Chuck Fletcher will see what's wrong. He'll make his final decisions, whether just to break it all down again, go back to rebuilding, restoring. But he also may just say, all right, we know what we did wrong. We know how we did went right in 2020. We need to find a way to get better at this. And I think in that case, I think they're going to go in the direction of we need to keep going, keep going, keep going, spend money, spend money. However, there is that still possibility we might just go back to rebuilding and trade away key pieces. But however, I am looking on the bright side for the Flyers. They still have that bright future in Carter Hart. He just needs to figure out what's going on. And I think once he gets that over with, he's going to be a great goaltender for the Flyers for the future. Well, that's all I have for you guys today on the Liberty for Philly podcast. Thank you for joining in on just me for to this day. But just to make up for Jared not being here, we are going to have a special double episode next Sunday. So make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, and stay tuned to our Twitter, which will also be linked in the description below. Make sure you don't ever miss an upload. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for watching, and stay frosty.